Oh yes, that was that was my big goal. When I started working with my triathlon coach in 2013, like that's what I told her I wanted to do. I wanted to do an Ironman. And she's like, no, like you're going shorter. I'd already done Olympic distance, and she's like, absolutely not. Like we are going back to the super sprint and draft legal, and you will go up the pipeline correctly. So I did my first triathlon in 2009. It was the Tri-Columbia Kids, KIDZ triathlon, but Tri-Columbia was a very big organization on the East Coast, and actually Christy Wellington would come race their Columbia triathlon every year. It was an Olympic distance. And then in 2010 I started doing sprints. I got approval to race the sprints from a very kind race director, and then I would race local races. And then in 2013, I started racing the Youth Elite Series and then the Junior Elite Series after that. And then from that point, I've just kind of like stayed in the draft legal pathway until after Tokyo, where I did my first 7.3. And then I've started mixing the two distances. I went to Cornell University, and it's in Ithaca, New York. And I like the first year, or like actually my first month, I missed a week of school because we were going to Cozumel for Junior Worlds. And by we, I mean one of my teammates, Kylie Spearing, and we went to Junior Worlds in Cozumel. And I think actually we didn't miss a full week, we missed 3 days. And my coach was freaking out. He's like, you can't miss 3 days at Cornell. And then by my junior year, I was missing 18 days. These are 18 class days, the fall semester, for racing both triathlon, because I went to Australia that year, I think, and then also cross country. So I ran there, and then I never put together a great track season, and my triathlon results were very much all over the place. But I finally made it through college, and then my first season out of college was 2021. Well, I think a lot of the athletes inspire me. Like I grew up kind of watching the race with, like, it was my mom's goal for a long time. So I would like come down into her workout room, and she would like, it would be the end of her bike ride, and I would see the finish line, and I had no idea what it was, but only after, and it was like, because I think the NBC production of the race, and so like it was all the flags and the finish line, and I had no idea what it was until like probably many years later. But yes, a lot of athletes have inspired me, and I'm very grateful for them, but I also have an utmost respect for them now, having like been out here and learning more so far. It's very intimidating. Well, so my mom's racing, and she claims it's her last Ironman, so it would be my first Ironman, her last Ironman, and my whole family were like, yeah, sure, it's your last. We don't really believe it, but it's super special, and like I can't say anything other than it's special. Well, I actually had it on my mind that I wanted to race pre-surgery, which is probably before anyone else realized that, but and that was an advantage coming back from surgery because I wasn't running, so then I could have like 2 Kona focused rides a week and then 3 short course focused rides a week, because I was just doing a lot of indoor riding. And so I got to like, because if anyone said like, oh, this is prep for Kona, I'd be like, oh, game, like I'm excited to do it. But if it was like, this just looks like an easy workout, then it would be like, I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. So it was definitely a huge motivator, but my deal with myself was that, and I had to like, a lot of things had to fall into place, but I had to qualify for Paris to allow myself to do it. And even then I knew the timeline would be tight. So it's just exploratory, and I'm excited to be here and learn. So I came from a swim and ice hockey background, and so I had the swim, and then for some reason I had a stronger bike. But I think the racing strategy came from the fact that I really didn't have the run quite yet, and so my coach wanted to give my body the space and time to develop my run appropriately. And so that was why she's like, well, we'll just like focus on your bike and your strength, and then it's allowed my run to develop over the years. I don't know, like I think that this is a very different race. It's a very new race for me, and like I feel like in a lot of ways I'm not allowed to, like I can't race it the way I normally race, but like, and just like that like mindset of actually racing. So, and it's more like I think I'm gonna have like caps of stuff that I can do. So it's gonna be different. But I can't control what the other women do out there, and it's a very long day. So, like, we'll see. Well, so I came back from Finland, and that was both like the first time I was back. I was starting my Kona prep, and I just signed with the feed, and so I had been hearing horror stories from Kona. Like the first thing a lot of athletes who have raced in Kona like to tell me, and I don't know if this is specific to me or this is just a specific, like a general story, but how they either it happened to them or they knew someone who lost all their nutrition in the first 10 miles of the race, and then like it was just over. And so the first thing I did was like, okay, what's the on-course nutrition? Like the gels are Morton, so thankfully the feed has those. So I came back to Boulder and I tried Morton gels for the first time, so I'll be racing with those. And then they'll also be lining the course just in case. But I've also been experimenting with a lot of different products, especially for sodium, which I never had to think about before. But I'm hoping that that'll help me for the future. And so, like, I think I was telling Talbot earlier that if I didn't have the feed, I don't know how I would have done this race. But so I'm very grateful to be working with the feed and all their products and knowledge. I'm hoping to have a long career, and so like regardless of how you race, it's just like good race or bad race, like I'm still gonna want to improve, and I'm still gonna want to race next year, I hope, and I'm still gonna want to be better, and I'm still gonna want to line up in Paris on July 31st, and regardless of how my race goes on October 14th, I'm not gonna get a head start, unfortunately. So like it just kind of, it is what it is, and I'm hoping to have a good race, but that wouldn't define my career one way or the other. I think that in terms of like I have goals in terms of how I want to execute, both from an output standpoint, but also a nutrition standpoint. And so if I can execute to the best of my ability, then also knowing that there's the asterisk of kind of not if something goes wrong, but when something will go wrong and how I respond to that. And so I think that's like, and the cards will fall however they fall. And I'm just hoping to get to the finish line in one piece.